Have you ever wondered how some folks seem to have all the financial security in the world without ever flaunting it? They don't drive the latest luxury car, they don't live in a flashy mansion, and they don't brag about their money. Yet somehow, they're always comfortable. They never seem to stress over bills, and they always have enough for whatever they need. If you've ever met someone like that, you might have asked yourself, what's their secret? Well, today I'm here to share that secret with you. And trust me, it's not about being lucky, coming from money, or having some complicated financial degree. In fact, it's something so simple, so practical, that once you hear it, you might think, why haven't I been doing this all along? Before we dive into the first hack, let me tell you a little story. Years ago, I had an old friend named Bill. Bill never made a ton of money. He worked a regular job, lived in a modest house, and never made a fuss about anything. But when he retired, something amazing happened. While others were worrying about their savings running out, Bill was as relaxed as ever. He took trips when he wanted, helped his grandkids with college, and even picked up a few hobbies that cost a pretty penny. One day I asked him, "Bill, what's your secret?" He smiled and said, "I never spent more than I made, and I always put a little something aside before spending a dime on myself. And that, my friend, is the foundation of wealth. The simple rule that wealthy people live by, but rarely talk about. The truth is, most people spend every dollar they earn, sometimes even more. There's always a reason to spend. Upgrading the car, going on that fancy vacation, buying the latest gadgets. But the people who quietly build wealth, they follow one golden rule. Spend less than you earn and invest the difference. Now, before you think, that sounds too simple to work, let me ask you something. Have you ever set aside even just a small portion of your money before spending the rest? It doesn't have to be a huge amount. Even just a few dollars tucked away every month can start building something bigger than you imagine. The key isn't the amount, it's the habit. Think about it this way. If every time you received money, you set aside even a little bit before spending, you'd be creating a small but mighty financial cushion. And over time, that cushion grows. It's like planting a seed in a garden. At first, it's just a tiny sprout, but with time and care, it becomes a strong, flourishing tree. And here's the best part. You don't have to make any drastic changes to start. You don't need to cut out everything you enjoy. Just make a small shift. Maybe the next time you receive your Social Security check, a pension payment, or even a little extra cash from something unexpected, take a portion, whatever feels right to you, and set it aside before anything else. You can put it in a separate savings account, invest it, or even use one of those easy automatic investment apps that do the work for you. Now, imagine this. A year from now, you check your savings, and instead of feeling the usual stress about money, you feel a quiet sense of pride. You've built something. You have something tucked away, something that's growing. And that feeling? It's priceless. This small habit is what gives people true financial freedom, not flashy cars or big houses, but the peace of knowing you're secure, no matter what happens. You don't need to impress anyone. You just need to take care of you. So, why not give it a try? Just for 1 month, set something aside before you spend. See how it feels. And who knows? This could be the start of something truly life-changing. And if you're wondering how to make this even easier, how to grow your money without even thinking about it, you're going to love the next hack. Stay with me, because this is where it starts to get really exciting. Have you ever felt like no matter how careful you are with your money, it just seems to slip through your fingers? You start the month thinking, this time I'm going to save a little extra. But before you know it, something comes up. An unexpected bill, a last-minute gift, or even just small everyday expenses that add up faster than you expect. By the time you check your balance, there's not much left and saving feels impossible. If this sounds familiar, trust me, you're not alone. But here's the good news. There's a way to build wealth that doesn't take extra effort. It doesn't require complicated plans or strict budgeting. It's something the quiet wealthy have been using for years, and it works like magic. The secret? They put their money on autopilot. Let me tell you a little story. My friend Susan, a retired school teacher, always wanted to have a nice little cushion of savings, but she found it difficult. No matter how much she tried, life always had other plans for her money. Then, one day, her son set up an automatic transfer for her, just $50 a month into a separate savings account. At first, she didn't even notice it was gone. But a year later, she checked that account and was shocked. She had over $600 saved without even trying. That's when she realized that the hardest part of saving wasn't actually setting money aside. It was remembering to do it and having the discipline not to spend it. That's why automation is so powerful. When you set up your money to move into savings or investments before you even see it, you remove the temptation to spend. It's like setting up a little hidden treasure chest for yourself, one that quietly grows over time while you go about your life. And don't think this only works for younger folks. I've seen plenty of retirees use this method to build a safety net, or even create a little extra fun money for future adventures. You don't have to start big. Even if you just set aside a small amount, $20, $50, or whatever feels comfortable, it adds up. There are apps and bank features that can do this automatically, transferring a set amount to your savings or investment account each month. Some even round up your everyday purchases and put the spare change into savings, so you don't even notice it happening. Imagine a year from now, looking at your account and seeing that you've saved up enough for a special trip, a gift for a grandchild, or just a little extra financial security. It's not about the amount, it's about the habit. And the best part? Once you set it up, you don't have to think about it. Your money quietly works for you while you enjoy life. If you've ever wished saving could be easier, this is your chance to try something that truly works. Just take a few minutes today to set up an automatic transfer. It could be the simplest, smartest financial move you ever make. And if you're wondering what to do with this growing savings to make it work even harder for you, you're going to love the next hack. Stay with me, because this is where things start getting exciting. Have you ever come into a little extra money, maybe a tax refund, a holiday bonus, or even some unexpected cash from an old insurance claim? What's the first thing that crosses your mind? If you're like most people, you probably think, oh, this is nice. Maybe I'll treat myself to something special. And there's nothing wrong with that. After all, life should be enjoyed. But let me share a little secret with you. The people who quietly build wealth, the ones who never seem to worry about money, handle these windfalls differently. Instead of spending their extra cash on something temporary, they turn it into something that lasts. I remember my neighbor, Frank. A retired postal worker, he lived in the same house for over 40 years. He never looked like he had a lot of money, but he always seemed financially comfortable. One day, we were chatting over coffee, and he told me how years ago he had gotten an unexpected $3,000 from an old investment he'd forgotten about. Instead of buying a new TV or taking a big trip, he put it into a simple investment account. He never thought much about it after that, until 15 years later, when he checked and realized it had more than doubled. That single decision had grown into something that helped him pay for his granddaughter's college books without a second thought. The truth is, we all get unexpected money from time to time. It might not be a huge amount, but it's enough to make a choice. Spend it on something that disappears quickly, or let it grow into something that gives you freedom down the road. If you ever find yourself with extra cash, try this. Instead of thinking, "What can I buy?" ask yourself, "How can this money work for me?" Maybe it means putting it toward an investment, paying down a high-interest credit card, or adding to your emergency fund. Even a little can make a big difference. And here's the best part. This mindset shift doesn't mean you can't enjoy life. Quite the opposite. It means that instead of splurging today and worrying tomorrow, you're setting yourself up for more financial peace in the future. The next time a little extra money lands in your lap, try putting even a small part of it toward something that grows. You might be surprised at how good it feels to know that your money is working for you, not just disappearing. Speaking of making money work for you, in the next section, we're going to talk about a powerful strategy that the wealthy use to build true financial independence, creating streams of income that flow in no matter what. Stick with me, because this is where things start to get really exciting. Have you ever noticed that the more money people make, the more they seem to spend? A bigger house, a nicer car, fancier vacations. It's like their expenses rise just as fast as their income. And yet, when you ask them if they feel financially secure, most will tell you they're still worried about money. It's a strange thing, isn't it? You'd think earning more would bring peace of mind, but for many, it just brings bigger bills. Let me tell you about my friend, Linda. She worked as a nurse for over 30 years, raising 3 kids on a modest salary. When she retired, she received a decent pension, and instead of upgrading her lifestyle, she kept things simple. "I've lived comfortably all my life," she told me one day. "Why would I change now?" Instead of splurging, she put her extra income into investments, letting her money quietly grow. Meanwhile, her friend Barbara, who had earned more throughout her career, always seemed strapped for cash. Why? Because every time she got a raise, she found a new way to spend it. This is what financial experts call lifestyle inflation, the habit of increasing spending every time income goes up. And it's one of the biggest reasons people struggle to build lasting wealth. The wealthy, on the other hand, do something different. They don't let their expenses rise with their income. When they get a raise or come into extra money, instead of upgrading their lifestyle, they invest that money or put it toward financial security. It's a simple shift, but it makes all the difference. Now, I know what you might be thinking. I'm not working anymore. How does this apply to me? The truth is, this isn't just about salaries and raises. It applies to any extra money that comes your way, whether it's Social Security increases, tax refunds, or even savings from cutting an expense. Instead of finding new ways to spend it, What if you used that money to strengthen your financial foundation? Think about it. If every time you had a little extra, you tucked it away into savings or investments, how much stronger would your finances be a year from now? 5 years from now? The trick isn't about depriving yourself. It's about creating a growing gap between what you bring in and what you spend. That gap is where wealth is built. Here's an easy way to start. The next time you receive extra money, whether it's a small pension increase, an unexpected check, or just a little leftover cash at the end of the month, challenge yourself to save or invest at least half of it. Just try it once and see how it feels. You might be surprised at how satisfying it is to know that your money is working for you instead of slipping through your fingers. And speaking of keeping your money safe, the next part of this journey is about protecting what you've built. Because once you start growing wealth, you'll want to make sure it's secure. Stay with me, because this next lesson might be the most important one yet. Have you ever noticed that the moment people find out you have money, they suddenly have all kinds of opinions on what you should do with it? Family, friends, even casual acquaintances. Everyone seems to have advice, expectations, or worse, a favor to ask. It's funny how money, something so personal, can quickly become everybody else's business. That's why one of the best-kept secrets of the truly wealthy is simple. Keep quiet. The less people know about your financial success, the more peaceful your life will be. I remember an old friend, Jim, who was always careful with his money. He never showed off, never made a big deal about what he had. While others were buying new cars and bragging about fancy trips, Jim just kept things simple. But when he retired, something interesting happened. He had plenty of money set aside, while many of his old co-workers were struggling. Nobody ever suspected that Jim, the guy who still drove the same old truck and lived in the same small house, was actually sitting on a comfortable nest egg. And you know what? That's exactly how he wanted it. On the other hand, I've seen the opposite happen too. A neighbor of mine, Carl, won a decent chunk of money in a lottery years ago. He told a few people about it, and before he knew it, distant relatives were coming out of the woodwork, asking for loans and giving him advice on how to spend it. Suddenly, people had expectations. He should buy a bigger house, take care of others, live a little. Within a few years, he had little to show for his winnings, and worst of all, he lost some friendships along the way. Here's the thing. Money should give you freedom, not stress. And one of the best ways to protect your peace is to keep your financial wins private. That doesn't mean being secretive or distrustful, just being selective about who you share with. If you've ever felt pressure to justify your money choices, maybe when you got a raise, sold a property, or received an inheritance, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It can feel uncomfortable when people expect you to spend a certain way or contribute in ways you're not ready for. That's why keeping things quiet can be one of the best financial decisions you'll ever make. Does this mean you can't talk about money at all? Of course not. It's important to have trusted people to discuss finances with, whether it's a spouse, a financial advisor, or a close friend who truly wants the best for you. But be mindful. The best financial moves are often made in silence. So here's a simple challenge for you. The next time you come into a little extra money, don't announce it. Just quietly put it to work for you, whether that means saving, investing, or paying off debt. See how good it feels to build security without inviting unwanted opinions. And now that you know how to protect what you've built, let's take it one step further. In the next section, I'll share a powerful way to make your money grow effortlessly, turning small amounts into something much bigger over time. Stay with me, because this next strategy is truly life-changing. If there's one thing I've learned about money, it's this: the biggest fortunes aren't built overnight. They grow quietly, little by little, over time. And the best part? You don't have to work harder or take big risks. All you need is patience, consistency, and a little bit of faith in the process. Let me tell you about my friend Ed. Ed was never a high roller. He didn't make a six-figure salary or own a fancy business. He was just a hard-working guy who started setting aside a little money every month in his 40s. Nothing dramatic, just small amounts invested in simple, steady funds. Fast forward 30 years, and Ed was sitting on a retirement fund that even some doctors and lawyers would envy. When I asked him how he did it, he chuckled and said, "I just let time do the heavy lifting." That's the magic of compound interest, the quiet force that turns small savings into real wealth. It works like a snowball rolling down a hill. At first, it's tiny, but as it keeps rolling, it gathers more and more snow until it becomes huge. The earlier you start, the bigger that snowball gets. I know what you might be thinking, but I'm not 40 anymore. Does this still work for me? Absolutely. The beauty of this strategy is that it works at any age. Even if you're retired, even if you're starting later in life, putting your money to work means you'll always be in a better position down the road than if you left it sitting in a regular old checking account. The trick is to just start. Whether it's $20, $50, or a couple of $100, the key is to set something aside and let it grow. It's not about how much, it's about building a habit. And the best part, once you get used to it, you don't even miss the money. Instead, you get to enjoy the peace of mind that comes from knowing you're building something solid for your future. If you're not sure where to begin, a great place to start is a simple investment account or an interest-earning savings account. You don't need to know everything about the stock market or be a financial expert. There are easy, beginner-friendly options that let you put your money to work without any stress. And here's a little secret that wealthy people understand. The real key to financial success isn't about finding the perfect investment. It's about sticking with it. Most people start with good intentions, but give up too soon because they don't see results right away. But the quiet wealthy? They know that wealth isn't built in a week or a year. It's built over time, through patience and consistency. So here's my challenge for you. Pick one thing today that you can do to move your finances forward. Maybe it's opening that savings account, setting up an automatic transfer, or just deciding to invest a little more. Whatever it is, take that first step and let time do the rest. Because here's the truth. Financial freedom isn't just for the lucky or the rich. It's for anyone willing to take small, steady steps in the right direction. And you, my friend, have everything you need to start.